Hello, it's Linda here, back at the potting bench. We've made one sun planter, and now we're going to put together something that's going to suit the shade. Now, a lot of plants can take, shade plants can take sun. You'll notice on the tags I say sunshade. What you might consider when you look at that tag is that the sun would not be the 4 o'clock heat sun, but more of an early morning sun or late morning sun, so that they're not getting burned. They're sensitive, more sensitive than the sun plants to heat and to the sun. So I've got this, once again, I've got this filled up with potting mix, not garden soil. I'm going to add in, though, a little bit of garden soil to the top layer, just to give it a bit of structure. The potting mix is light and fluffy for a very good reason, for aeration to the roots, for water retention and draining. So the soil gives it just a little bit of stability. We're going to throw in some slow release fertilizer. This is a 10-10-10 again. This is great to get you through the first month, or at least to help stabilize, or not stabilize, to start the growth of the plants and to start producing flowers. But I think it's best to, within 3 or 4 weeks, to start feeding your annuals regularly, once every 10 days or 2 weeks, with a water-soluble watering can. You put in a tablespoon, add the water, and then just water the plants. About watering, what happens often is, if the planters dry out quite a bit, the soil becomes hydrophobic, that it won't accept the water. You've probably seen it before, where you'll pour water in and it'll just sit on the surface or flow out the sides. That's because there's no room for the water to go into, to penetrate. If that happens, the easiest way to get it moving again is to just gently water it. Water it slowly till it starts absorbing the water, and then you can water it completely. Maybe see some water coming out the drainage holes that indicate that it's getting through. Okay, so shade. I've picked out some flowers here to go into my shade container. Small planter, again, it's about 13 and a half inches across diameter here. And so I don't want to put many 1 gallon plants in here. Everything's going to grow and fill in quite nicely. What I've chosen here is a New Guinea impatient. They're coming out with a type they call Sensation, which means it will take more sun than regular impatiens. But once again, we're not talking afternoon sun at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, baking down on it. So these are beautiful. This is the kind of planter you might want to have up close to where you're sitting, just to admire the beauty of these individual flowers, the color, how they shine with the sun on them. Stunning. So I have 2 Sensations. My thriller, and this one, is going to be a Coleus. This one is called Black Dragon. Fantastic foliage. Shade, foliage go together so well. So this is going to be my thriller, although it's small right now. In a couple of weeks it'll probably be this high and continue. With the Coleus, you want to keep on top of it so that you're clipping back the flowers that it's sending out. That'll just make it branch out and give you more foliage, and it won't bolt as in vegetables. So also I have 2 teeny fuchsia. They have different names, but they look identical to me. And these are also spectacular to have up close to when you're sitting out in the evening or out in the morning, just looking at the delicacy of these beautiful flowers. Some filler is the great Bacopa. I've chosen, it's called Gulliver's Violet. It's going to definitely complement the coleus, the New Guineas, and the fuchsias. And just if we have room, which we probably will, I'm going to put in some lobelia. I'm not sure if this one will be scented enough to smell, but they're beautiful. Okay, so let's begin. We have this potting soil. We have a little bit of potting soil, potting mix, potting soil, and some fertilizer in here. So we're ready to begin. I'm going to once again plant so that it's going to be, this will be the back. So you might have this up against a fence or a wall, or just closer away from where you're going to see it all the way around. I'm going to start with the coleus because I know that the coleus is going to grow approximately this height. So let's begin with that one. When taking it out, go gently. The larger plants tend to stay, even though it's wet, well watered, tend to stay together better than the teeny ones, which would often fall apart. Okay, so we've got our coleus in there. One thing you can do is take your plants and just lay them out in the pot. As you know, how do I want to do this? I don't know which goes where. One thing that makes it a little bit easier for beginners is to start with a planter like I'm doing right now, where there's a back and a front. That way you can kind of build your picture according to height and how much they grow. So let's just see if we have a coleus here and we know that these are going to spread about this big. I also want to have my fuchsia. Now the fuchsia here, this one says is approximately 14 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have height here, I'm going to have the fuchsia height here, and then I'll have the next step down with the New Guinea impatiens. The rest of these plants, the bacopa and the lobelia, we can fill in once we get these, once we get the base in. So let's do that. Fuchsia flowers are just so intricate. It's just so lovely to look at them. It's really loaded. So this is what we call a 2.5 inch. They can cost you anywhere between $1.49 to $2.49. Somewhere around there. Soil, potting mix. Okay, I'm just going to sit them gently in there because I may want to move them a tad. Our New Guinea sun patience. These have only been out, well, I've only seen them a couple of years ago, so they might have been out longer, I'm not sure. This is not a bad looking root ball, but it's starting to get root bound, so let's just open it up a bit. Sometimes after planting, the plants may not look that great. They'll need water right away. Even though the plants I've watered myself and they're wet, they're going into a dry mixture. So I want to make that I want to get that moisture happening right through. Okay, these definitely are, these New Guinea impatiens are fabulous. Dying to get out. I tend to go with plants that are tried and true, but with the new plants and new colors and all of that coming out, it's fun to experiment. it's fun to see what you're planting or what you choose this year, and just to watch it to make sure, you know, just to say, hey, it did really well, or it didn't do well, or I'm never going to buy that again, or, you know, it got leggy, that sort of thing, too much maintenance. So some things to consider when you're thinking about what plants you want to put in. Lots of times we don't think, and we just go with color, and that's good too. Okay, I don't know if you can see that coming along. Okay, so we have height here of two different kinds. We've got the coleus that's going to come up here, fuchsia on both sides. Kind of call this our filler, and now we're going to do our spiller. I think because these are small, I'm going to put both of my Bacopas right at the front. Yeah, right at the front. Actually, no, I'm going to put one at the front and one in the middle, because Bacopa spreads through the other plants, and with the Gulliver's Violet back here, it will pick up the fuchsia colors. So let's pop one in the front. Bacopa is another great plant standby because it can take sun. It does very well actually in the sun, and it does well in shade. There, I can see that pulling the New Guinea colors already together. Okay, I'll pop this other one. Oh, this one's a bigger one. I'll put that in the front. Great root ball, well moistened, ready to go in. Let's put that in the center, right in front of the coleus. You can see what's happening back here. So I've taken the, this is a package of four lobelia. I've taken it and split it in half because these two are well developed individual plants. I'm going to use them as that. Sometimes I've taken a 4-pack out and pretty spindly. So what I've done is I've planted the whole package, the whole 4 together, just so that I'm not splitting their very, very tiny roots and they're not in good shape. Okay, so I'm going to pop one in the front, one on both sides of the lobelia. Very tiny. Pop that right here. Okay. So we have our 2 lobelia Bacopa. These 2 here, let's have a look. They're not bad. I can see 2 individual plants, so I'm going to gently pull them apart and put one on this side and one on this side. Remember to, once you get your planter finished planting, give it some water. Very gently, because the soil is loose, the plants aren't that sturdy, so they may flop over a little bit. So definitely water. Okay, so what we've done here is we've found shade-loving plants. 13-inch planter. There's about 8 plants in here. My thriller, my height is going to be with the coleus. My fuchsias, these are upright fuchsias, so they'll give it height. The New Guinea will grow a little bit higher and fill in, and then we've got our beautiful mauve Bacopas and the rose lobelias. So this is going to be fabulous in a couple of weeks when it's full.